I still say you never shot that one target. I mean, even though you did show me from your GoPro,
Oh yeah.
the head snapped back a little bit.
No.
Okay,
I'm vindicated.
I'll give you
And
that.
I'm gonna post that video on this podcast. I'm a vindicated.
Yeah,
See,
but that's like if somebody just grazed you. I mean, it's a flesh wound, but you're not down.
if somebody grazes the top of your head, Joe, it'll blow your freaking brain off.
Not if it just grazes like the top.
Okay, because you're cool to walk around with like a hole in your skull. Just continue your day. Finish your 9 to 5.
I mean, I'll just put a hat on it or a beanie. It should hold up, He'd be ready to go. I mean, at least he can take that one final shot and get you back before he perishes.
That's no reason to take a 15-minute break.
Yeah. Ah.
But I'm a man of deep integrity, so the video will prove my innocence from your wild accusations.
We've gone back and forth about this many a time. Nevertheless, I'll say you did give yourself a little bit of video reinforcement or acknowledgement.
Yeah, I don't even know why that was necessary. I don't even know why that's necessary.
Because there's no hole in the target. I got shot.
That's what she said.
I got shot, but I'm not bleeding, and I have no wound, but I got shot.
Oh, he was bleeding. I mean...
Theoretically.
Dude would have been dead on the floor, and you would have known. You'd be like, I don't see the hole. Joe, he's dead.
That's
he's
why
dead.
You got to put one in the head.
Just for good measure.
Just for good measure.
He would not even have come back as a zombie. That's how much I got him in the head. Well, welcome everyone to what is our final podcast for a while. We're gonna put this on the shelf after this.
For now.
I want us to focus more on growing the sport and focus more on the main show, and make sure we're doing more outreach when it comes to spreading the word on Reloader. So we're going to shelve the podcast for a little bit. But for today, we're going to go over our round 2 in the desert, which was the sequel to Corvulu getting a heat stroke out there.
Well, although Corvulu was victorious on grass the last time we had a match, he did have some success out here in our exhibition. But nevertheless, that success ended up to be the end of him.
It wasn't the success, it was the problem, it was the damn heat.
Well,
and mostly the choice of wardrobe, I think.
I think that had a big factor to do with it, most definitely.
So, as a result, I changed my shirt. Luckily, I had another shirt, right? Or else I'd be out there in skins, or I don't know what would have happened.
You would have just been out there in black again.
Yeah, probably. But for sure, that mask would have came off because, geez, that thing was suffocating me. But we did a round 2. We switched sides. Now you're on the blue side. I was on the red side. So, we've already set the scene. This is post my dry heaving. I think it was maybe, I want to say like 30 minutes between rounds. We did have to reset the field. And we had done a lot of reloads, so there was more stuff to reset. We had to cool down, take some electrolytes, take some cold water. Our host was being super nice, and she brought us, what was it, like fruit punch and popsicles?
Yeah, she brought us punch, popsicles, iced coffee. Just something.
Iced coffee.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of iced coffee to get some caffeine and keep us going, but cool us off at the same time. She was very, very hospitable.
Yes.
Hospitable, very nice.
Super sweet by her. We didn't expect any of that. In fact, we had expected to record it. I think I might have mentioned, we might not even see her, the whole time we're out here, but...
I've had less hospitality when we've gone to visit friends.
Yeah, I don't even invite you to my house. So we were getting ready to start round 2. And I think I mentioned it before my wife was there. She's helping us recover and helping with the cameras and stuff.
Right.
But we're finally ready to go for round 2. And yeah, we've cooled down a little bit, but now it's also hotter because it's later in the day. It's also hotter.
Yeah. It was. When we go out there and we set up the field, it is a bit of a task. It's a little grueling. It's physically demanding. But in these conditions, obviously it proved to be even more. I mean, just resetting the field is physically challenging, but when the temperatures are 100 plus degrees, it's that much more.
So we line up at the race zone. My wonderful wife is going to count us down. We usually, I think my brother counted us down before, but usually it's, one of us.
Right.
So she's going to count us down. 3, 2, 1, go. And what happened?
I heard go.
Yeah, I heard go too, but by that time I heard it, you were already like a good 10 feet in front of me.
I went on the rhythm of the cadence of the numbers, and in my mind, I heard a g. That's all I know.
There was no go.
There has to be a g
There was
in
not.
order to be a go.
There was no go.
There always is.
There was an absence of a go, and you went before the go. And honestly, I was just too tired to say let's come back and do this shit.
Do you even want to do it over?
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, fine. Yeah, you got the bullet, whatever. I don't care anymore. I was honestly, folks, I was done after the whole heat stroke that I was having. I was not putting up any effort at all. I think I probably told you this before. I'm like, I'm just gonna go through the motions because I wasn't feeling good. I felt terrible.
Well, I mean, you ran a good round one, but
Not even.
that
Not even
proved.
around a good round.
Well, I mean, you won round one.
I ran a good race zone in round one. After that, I was done. It was like a sickly feeling. It wasn't just being tired. You know, I've done marathons, I've done triathlons. I've been tired, but this was just like I feel sick. I feel like my life force is fading.
I mean, well,
as every step I take.
you got to pace yourself. There's 3 races because there's 3 rounds.
It was not a pacing issue, Joe. It was that stupid mask suffocating my brain, and I didn't like it. I don't like it. I don't do it.
So it was self-inflicted.
Yeah.
Okay.
As usually all my pain in life is, yeah. So you begrudgingly got that first piece of ammo from the race zone. We both head to the sandbag, and I mentioned to you a little while ago before we started recording, I don't even remember having a game plan for this second round to head for the sandbag, thinking like I'm going to get the sandbag. I think I did it because I didn't do it the first round, and I wanted to do it just to say I had done it. But it also could have just been because it was the closest thing to me, and I didn't want to move.
Well, that's possible. I mean, for me, I know my game plan going into this match was to complete all the reloads in the reloader zone no matter what. Whether I won the race or not, it was to do all the reloads to at least have 5 pieces of ammo.
Not to go too much on a tangent, but you know, we only did 2 rounds of 4 targets, but there seems to be a difference between having 5 pieces of ammo and 6 pieces of ammo. It's just one more bullet, but that could make a difference. I mean, that's how I felt.
Well, I believe it's mentally reassuring, but in order to complete each round, I feel it's a necessity. Unless you're that confident, you only give yourself 1 miss.
Yeah.
And with moving the targets back, you know, that came into play. I mean, even though, the targets were further back, so are you still confident enough to where you think you only might miss once? I mean, it's, like I said, it's not only mentally reassuring, but I believe a necessity.
Yeah, thinking, like, if I were planning a strategy for 4 targets in the future, I would want 6. I think in this round, I did 5, but it was more like, I'm just too tired to do another. Because I had no other... Like I had done the cash, so I would have to do, you know, a 2-piece reload, and I don't know if I had that in the tank. But we both go for the sandbags at 8:29. We both drop them off about the same time. You beat me by like a split second, but I picked up my bag before you, so I kind of caught up to you. But I'm pretty good with the sandbag now. I go pretty fast with it.
Yeah, I mean, you must be. I had won the race portion of the round, but as you can see, yeah, we're both going to the middle of the reloader zone around the same time, so I guess you're able to get it up quicker, or I have to kind of
That's what she
set
said.
I gotta set myself more. What she also did say is I have more stamina and was able to finish 2 rounds. That's all I'm saying. But you can see we do come to the center around the same time. It ended up evening itself out.
Yeah, but then we both head for the cash. Well, myself not so quick, but we both head for the cash, and this is where the difference in the round is. You keep your feet moving, like you say, and you deliver the cash at 8:11. Takes me 11 whole seconds after you to deliver mine, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's really not that far. And so 11 seconds is a huge difference.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're really paying attention and you see it, that is where the separation started to happen. We got to the middle around the same time, but as we separate to continue, yeah, I try to get a light jog going, and you can see you're pretty much gassed, and you even headed in the wrong direction initially, and then realized, oh shoot, I forgot to go for the cash.
I think I might have been heading towards the water jugs, and it was just kind of like, no, I can't do it. And it's not that I'm gassed again. It's just I just have no energy. I'm not like breathing hard. I don't have anything in me. And I hadn't ate, and I think I mentioned before I was on 1 hour of sleep. And these are really not like I've worked out like that before. It was the heat, honestly.
Oh yeah, I mean, no matter what, like I had mentioned, no matter who you are, the heat was a factor. It was 104 for the first race, 108 for the second, and I particularly don't know anybody who can just go run those races no problem.
After I delivered my cash, I headed to the nether ender to unlock my weapon. You headed to the jerry cans, and at 7:30 you dropped them off for 2 more pieces of ammo. How much is that now? 6 ammo for you now at that point?
At that point, yes, I had acquired 6 pieces of ammo, which, as we had mentioned, is ideal, which was the goal, because to a degree, either you're getting 5 or you're getting 7. So winning that race really helped out.
Did it now?
Yes, it did.
So after you got 6, you headed to the nether ender yourself. You got there around 7:13, and you got hit with the violation because you're just walking in without your wheelbarrow.
As you had mentioned, I think the heat got to me a little bit at that point. I was confident. I was, doing the round at my pace. Things seemed to be going in my favor. I see you in there, and then I don't know what I was thinking. I went for the dummy, I guess, to pick it up. Probably due to the heat, I just forgot. I step in, and then it's like, oh shoot, I got to go back and get it.
Yeah, and for those wondering, the wheelbarrow, it seems like it helps us to get the dummy out, but it actually makes it a little harder, if anything. Because, yeah, like you said, Joe, you can go pick up the dummy, carry them all the way back to the middle of the reloader zone without dropping them at all, and it would probably be easier than putting them in the wheelbarrow, wheeling them out, and then trying to pick them up either out of the wheelbarrow or off the floor. That's actually more work than just picking them up and just walking them.
To put the dummy into the wheelbarrow is a more daunting task than just picking it up and taking it back.
He doesn't fit that well on in the wheelbarrow. He doesn't fit that well.
That's the biggest factor. As we've talked about previously, it's the length, it's the way the weight's distributed, it's the whole size and weight distribution that makes it difficult to get him in there. He's way bigger and then bottom heavy. And in a wheelbarrow, which obviously has only one wheel, you can lose balance real fast if you're not putting him in properly.
Yeah, and rewind back to our first ever episode. If you don't put that guy in the wheelbarrow right, you have a hurt wrist for like a year. Seriously, my wrist is hurt for like a year since then.
Well, and especially as we've run our races in different conditions. We're not running on or inside a warehouse or, say a flat field that's perfectly groomed. Every time we've had a match, even though the field has been different, it hasn't been smooth terrain. You have to be able to keep your balance out there.
But you correct it. You go back and get the wheelbarrow. At 6:44, Chief completes the rescue to unlock the weapon. I got 3 pieces of ammo at the time I'm unlocking my weapon. Obviously, I'm not ready to start shooting. My plan was to, rescue the dummy from the beginning. At 6:05, so, it takes you a little while to rescue with the wheelbarrow. So at 6:05, you rescue after taking a little bit. By the time you rescue your dummy, by the time you unlock your weapon, I'm doing the rescue reload. I'm doing the dragging method, which is I'm too freaking tired to pick him up method. So I just kind of drag him, which isn't easy in itself because now I'm putting more strain on my legs.
I think that's more difficult, to be frankly honest with you.
I think long term, yeah, it is more difficult. But at the time, it's kind of like it seems easier. So I just kind of grab him and drag him. That's at 6:05. So it shows 2 things. It shows it took you a little while to get your guy out of the nether ender. And it took me a while from the time I got out of the nether ender to start that rescue reload. It took me, like 30 seconds that I'm taking a break doing nothing. I'm like with my hands on my knees, taking a breather. And at this point, I'm out of breath. Finally.
Well, even though you had entered the nether ender before I knew I had the advantage as far as ammo was concerned.
Yeah, it's 6 already.
I knew I was a little more fatigued than you were. So I think both of those came into a factor. As we spoke about, I try to save my energy enough. I knew I had the time, even though you were getting out of it. I had 6 pieces of ammo. All I needed to do was drop them, unload my weapon, take down the targets, and then get the memory boxes. So regardless, even though physically you seemed to be ahead, I knew I had the advantage. I didn't feel like I had to push myself extraneously to any limits.
So at 5:53, I pick up the 2 pieces of ammo for the rescue reload. Sorry. Then I take another break, and I return back to my weapon at 5:24. So it's another 30-second break I took, just trying to catch my breath. And yeah, at that point I'm breathing hard. At 5:03, you start shooting. So you say you're feeling good, but this shows that you weren't at your A game either. That's a longer loading time than normal for you. That's about a 1 minute loading time from unlocking your weapon.
Well, I mean, as I had mentioned, I honestly felt I could win. I knew you were gassed. I know you didn't have a lot in the tank.
You keeping an eye on me or what?
I mean, not that I'm trying to watch you, but I have an idea, as you mentioned. Yeah, I mean, I saw you have to catch your breath, put your hands on your knees, and you seemed like you were struggling. I mean, I'm not to say I had it in the bag, but if need be, I could have sped up the process still.
I think you knew I was gonna struggle just from our conversations between rounds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I knew just exactly like you had mentioned from conversation and just, I mentioned this numerous times, I felt better.
Well, I mean, I felt better than the first round, but that wasn't a high bar to beat. At 5:03, you started shooting, and at 4:59, I start shooting. At 4:47, you're done with your 5 shots, going 4 for 5, which kind of surprising compared to how you shot the first round.
Well,
Honestly,
the second round went a lot better. Actually, how I had hoped the first round to go. I don't plan on going, 3 for 6, 3 for 7 from the field.
3 for 6.
Yeah, I mean, I plan on hitting my targets or maybe missing one. So it did go as planned. I was able to accomplish finishing that round first and have things go my way.
At 4:43, I'm done shooting by default. I only got 3 shots off when I realized my CO2 is out. At this point, I was tempted to call a timeout. So I look at you, and you already got the memory box. I didn't know you were done with your targets, obviously. Because, I hear you shooting, but I can't really. I'm shooting too, so I'm not really watching what you're doing.
Well, right, of course.
But so I take a look at you, and you're already with the ammo boxes in hand. So that means either you're cheating again, or you're done shooting your targets. And we had like a couple second exchange out there where I'm like, you're done or something. And I said like, my gun's not working. And you're like, you want to call timeout? I'm like, what's the point? You're already at the wheelbarrow. Like,
Right.
What's the point? Because even if I changed it, I still had that further target to hit. I had 2 ammo to take a shot at it, but too little, too late at that point.
Well, as I had mentioned to you as well, I kind of experienced the same thing a little bit in that last round. I know when I changed the CO2, I could hear a slight leak. So if anything, that basically compelled me to hit those targets quicker and make sure I took them all out.
Yeah, the CO2, we didn't get into it too much in the last podcast, or we don't really mention it on the episodes of the show. But it was a real pain in the ass that day. I don't know if it's old cartridges I have. I don't know if we're damaging the guns when we dump the dummies.
Right.
But I had taken about 7 cartridges with us. I'm thinking worst case scenario, we need 1 for each round if we're doing 3 rounds.
Right.
And then an extra. Well, we only did 2 rounds and I went through 7. And these are guns we had tested. These are the guns we used last time. We know they work. We know they're fine. I don't know what was up, but every time we would screw one in, it would start leaking right away. Even, inside baseball again, we did intend to do a 3rd round.
Yeah.
So we went to go exchange the CO2 in mine, and they immediately started leaking. So I know this is no good. Look for another one. We don't have any more. And you said, I don't even know if I knew it at the time, but you said that yours was leaking. So that means that would have been no good by the time we got the round going. So we were out of options to shoot.
Well, yeah, I mean, as I had mentioned, that kind of just pushed me to make sure I hit all the targets. I could hear it leaking, and even though I wasn't aware of the fact that we didn't have any more canisters available, all I knew in my head is means I got to hit these targets and finish this round and win it.
Thankfully, this is the testing period for our sport. Thankfully, it's you and I doing it, not
Right.
you know new competitors. But we're figuring out these ins and outs. We're figuring out equipment issues, and I mean we promote it a lot that we're figuring out what to make the sport, how to make the sport more fun and more challenging. And yeah, we're absolutely doing that. But equipment issues, camera issues, all of that is still part of the testing period. So
Oh yeah, definitely.
we're figuring this out and we're improving that. And the next step is to figure out what works with refereeing, and I can't wait to get that started.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that. I want to ref. I want to be out there. I want you to be out there refing.
I want to
I
referee
want to see more contestants. See what other people have to do.
because they're definitely not better than me, right? So you should be able to beat them.
No comment.
So at 4:29, your memory boxes are done. 4:12. So it took you 17 seconds to nail the boss, but at that point you already knew you could take your sweet time to get there. 4:12, Joe celebrates with his patent arm in the air move for all the fans in attendance, for all the prairie dogs in attendance.
Well, in case any of our viewers out there, any of the prairie dogs, maybe the homeowner was looking, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew I won. That's
Not
all.
even the ants were out there anymore. It was so hot.
I don't know. I saw a little bit of them raising the roof out there, dude. I don't know about you, but I saw a little chorus line going.
These fire ants, they're out in the morning when before the sun is too hot. But once it gets really warm, they go back in their holes. They bounce. They're smarter than we are because we're still out there.
Evidently, we are not smarter than the animals out there.
Not even the insects. Reloads for this round, we both had 3. You had an extra piece of ammo from the race zone, so 6 ammo for you, 5 for me. Shooting wise, like I said, I went 3 for 3. Not being able to finish my shots was kind of frustrating, but I brought it on myself taking all those rests in during the rounds. I mean, who am I going to blame, right? I can't even blame you for that race zone ammo because you didn't even use it. You used 5 ammo only. But you shot 4 for 5.
Well, yeah, I mean the shooting came to be a factor in round 2. Also, I guess I'd say my tolerance for the heat came to be a factor as well. I mean, I knew it was hot out there, but for me personally, I think I had just succumbed to the heat, gave in that it was going to be hot, and try to push through. I mean, your wardrobe didn't help you.
It was entirely my wardrobe.
I came with a different idea. I tried to go cooler. I wore shorts. I wore a t-shirt. I mean, I can't get any darker than I already am, so I'm not really worried about that. Although that dry grass and thorns ended up being a little agitating, but I mean, I don't know how much cooler my temperature was, but I was still able to push through regardless.
Yeah, you mentioned about not getting darker. I did offer this guy some sunblock because I have to put on sunblock or else I get in trouble with my wife. I don't want to get in trouble. But yeah, refuses sunblock. So you may have won the round, sir, but you've also won cancer. So congratulations.
I look forward to its defeat as well.
You finished the round in 4 minutes and 48 seconds, which was 20 seconds faster than Corvulu did in the first round. So you would have been able to choose which side you wanted for the third round. What side would you have gone with? Would you stay in blue?
I probably would have stayed with blue. I mean, it's the side that ended up working for me in that exhibition. I think I probably would have just stuck with it.
I didn't really feel the difference on either side, to be honest. I didn't go for the water jugs on the red side, but everything else it seemed the same.
I mean, I don't want to refer to it as an alternate field, but I know we made alterations to it.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, I still feel, as you had mentioned, it was an equal playing field.
Yeah, that's what's important. That both sides are equal.
There was nothing I saw advantageous to either one of us on either side. It just so happened to work out that blue won each time.
Yeah. And in comparison to like the park, for example, there were sides of the field where like, oh, watch out for that big ass hole.
Right.
Yeah.
You could kind of see things.
Yeah. And on this field there were like some obstacles, but they weren't really in our line of like where we would walk to deliver reloads, for example.
No, the way it worked out, most of them we were able to work around or just avoid.
Yeah, and that's why we modified the field a little bit and changed the angles of certain things so that we can work around these things.
Yeah,
But
no, that's
they weren't
true.
really an issue. Reflection on the day as a whole. I mean, I was disappointed. For those that don't know, it's a bit of a drive for us to get out there, so it's
Yeah.
disappointing to only film 2 rounds when we go out there always trying to film 3, and that's why this became an exhibition versus a match, so to speak. But yeah, that part really bummed me out. That bummed me out more than getting dangerously sick and having a heat stroke or whatever I'm going through out there. So it was a bummer for me not getting the third, even though my performance in the third round might not have been that great. And at that point, we're kind of at high noon, getting close to high noon, so it might have been a rough third round. But content-wise, I wish we would have had it. But other than that, we learned a lot, especially the difference that an extra target can make and the placement
yeah.
of targets can make in the overall strategy. There was no way either of us thought that 4 pieces of ammo was enough to get the job done. We knew we needed 5, 6, 7.
Oh yeah, I mean, well,
So,
for me mentally, I felt prepared to finish that third round. I mean, although physically, I don't know if I was going to be able to accomplish that task. I know, no offense, I know you weren't, but I mean, even breaking down the field, there were a couple times I had to take breaks. That heat was getting very exhausting. I know, as I had mentioned, you could be out there for 4 or 5 minutes, then you kind of had to go in the shade at least for a minute or so because you just felt like your body was starting to overheat. So
yeah.
mentally, I was prepared. Physically, who knows? But the heat coupled with the extra target, obviously, it was the most challenging match we've had to date.
Physically challenging, yeah. And it's hard to compare because of the heat issue. If I hadn't been wearing that mask, if I hadn't been wearing that shirt, I would have done a lot better. And that's not like an excuse, that's just common sense. I would have done a lot better. So it's hard to compare it to the other place. But weather-wise, yeah, it was really bad. Even though we were in the desert before, it was different time of year. It was not nearly as hot.
Yeah, the conditions were a lot different.
But that's it for the review for this round. Like I said, this is going to be our last podcast for a while, and that's because we want to dedicate our time to improving the main show and marketing the main show and overall making improvements to the product and to the sport. So, this is just going to go on hiatus for a little bit.
For a while, I've enjoyed our podcasts. I look forward to doing them. Although we're taking a break, I look forward to starting them again.
Yeah, I enjoy doing them too. I feel like we're more comfortable and we let our personality come out a little more. I'm hoping we can work on that and translate that to the main show a little bit more too. But for now, podcast is going to go take a nap. And
Like myself, probably.
I think that's exactly what I did when we got home that day. I took a nap.
Yeah, much needed.
Thank you all for tuning in. If there is popular demand for this podcast, we will bring it back immediately. But for now, we'll see you in the future. Tune in on Saturday for our new episode, and it'll be every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We'll have shorts every day of the week, 6 days a week that the main show's not on. So please tune in, and we appreciate your support. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed, and we'll see you Saturday.
Yeah, thank you again for tuning in. We look forward to hearing you, seeing you, and feel free to comment, leave us a message whenever you feel like it. Thank you again.
Thank you. Bye.